Okay, so I'm kind of in the mood to continue painting. This is the one I started yesterday, and I think it's not bad, but I still think I can go in and refine some of these marks a little bit. So I got very important coffee. This is paint in my forehead. Yeah, and I got a V8, so I'm just juicing up right now. Hold on. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll zoom in. I got my hydration done. Zoom in. Now for this one, how do I paint so you can see it? I might have to. I always move the camera off the side. Usually it's a good way of doing it. All right. Okay. We'll zoom at once. I don't know. Zoom in. All right. Yeah, so I'm going to use a thin brush. And why don't I go, let's try. I figure I would know these brushes by now, but I just got to check them out. All right, so this one, yeah, this brush will be good. Now, I may be able to get away with not even adding new paint. I might be able to get away with just, let's bring the sucker real close. I might be able to get away with just using the paints that's there. Okay, so what I'm doing, oops, is literally trying to make a bit more refined art marks, let's just call them. So that if you were to come in close to the painting, you might notice them a bit more. Can you see that? I don't know what this hand is doing. This hand seems to be gripped in some sort of fashion. It's like in, is it Talladega Nights with Will Ferrell when his character's being interviewed, he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. That is a funny movie. Okay. Yeah, like look up here. I cannot explain why I need to do this. Where is it? Okay, over here. Let me zoom right in with the camera so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, I don't know why this bugs me, because it's still too, it's not refined enough. It needs like, they're not masterful strokes. Like they're kind of like, I don't know, not jittery, but just not, I don't know, maybe there is a true state of perfection. Maybe that's what it is. I think they're like, obviously if there's chaos, the opposite of chaos is order, okay? And there is some beauty in order and there's beauty in chaos. Oh, by the way, someone was saying yesterday how my paintings are getting more loose. I've been doing this for 30 years and I'm telling you, I've done tons and tons of loose paintings and tons of rigid paintings. So like, I think no, man, I've done everything, and I've tried so many different styles, so I think you need to look at it in that perspective. Like if like who would give a shit really to look at it? But nah, I'm not. This is not some new thing for me. This is like I've done tons. Yeah, blah blah blah. Tons of loose paintings. Hold on a second. Nugget, come here. Good girl. Come here. Just don't want her barking. Good girl. Okay. Can you sit? Can you sit? Good girl. Sit. Good girl. Okay, you stay. Stay and watch me paint. Sucker. Okay. Yeah, I need to do, I don't know, like I just have this strange compulsion where it's to find this beauty in the chaos. Let's find the beauty in the chaos and let's just go in with these little tiny brush strokes. Holy shit, you're just zooming in my back of my head. Crap. Let's do this. I don't know why. It just feels good to go in here with a little brush and touch it and just touch it and make something that was created by a human. I actually intended to do this. It wasn't just some machine, spinning machine. Oh, if you really want to piss me off, show me the artists, quote unquote, who put paint on the spinning machine. There's a guy in Toronto who does that, and he gets write-ups, and it's just, I look at it and I go, well, I want to vomit all over it. Sorry, that's kind of extreme. Shut up, Josh. Yeah. He's just doing what he's doing. Don't be jealous. Oh, my god damn it, I'm fucking in the way again. Yeah, this feels better. Even it's not going to be noticeable, like from more than like the distance that I am. I'm like only about 8 inches away from the painting. So a lot of the stuff I'm doing is only going to be noticeable if you're within a few inches. If you're going to be standing back, it's probably just going to look like a bunch of merged colors. But I'm a little crazy like that right now. Just right now. Just right now I'm a little crazy like that. Look at this cool little weird blobule of green stuff. I got a show. So I did this quote unquote series of paintings called Pareidolia. And I really like it. And I haven't really shown it off. And they're all very similar in this kind of style, but actually even more random. So I think I might go back and add more intentionality to it. Like here's what I mean by intentionality. This is Van Gogh, subtle Van Gogh right here. Let me see if I can see it on the screen. You see those marks here? Can you see it? It looks better in real life than it does on the camera. I know, there's like intentional Van Gogh stuff going on in there. Yeah, it looks so much better in real life than on that camera screen. Or at least I'm looking at it through the camera on my computer monitor. But up close it looks nicer. Anyhow, what the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, Pareidolia series. So Pareidolia is an optical illusion where you think there's a shape or pattern or something like a recognizable object when it's just randomness. It's kind of like you know, like when people like look at the surface of a planet and they might see rocks, or sorry, they might see like what they think is technology or architecture when it's just rocks, right? I get that all the time when you stare at a popcorn ceiling. Sort of a popcorn ceiling is basically, actually I've got a popcorn ceiling right here. It's a kind of old school speckling of what is it? I'm drawing a blank. This is material used for goddamn, I'm drawing a blank. And I'd stare at the ceiling and I could see faces. I could imagine all kinds of shapes and stuff. So that's what pareidolia is. So anyhow, I was into for a while, and into I mean just learning about remote viewing, which is this concept where you can see another location, possibly temporally, like within a different time, right? And so I played with this a little bit, and I kind of like, I can do visual hallucinations when I close my eyes. I have these moments where I just lost my attention. Where I close my eyes, and that's okay. I close my eyes, and what's that? You want a popsicle? Go ahead. Close my eyes. It's all black, and then I can willfully generate this little circular, mostly circular air in the darkness. It looks like it's kind of weird. It looks like I'm viewing a scene somewhere in the world through like a camera, like a CCTV camera. And it's usually somewhat, there's color, but it's usually kind of desaturated. And what I see are the most mundane, like nothing interesting happening. It could have been like a corner of like my kitchen or something. And I sit there and I can watch it, and I have to sort of willfully keep it there. And I watch these scenes like I'm watching television. It's the freakiest thing. Now, again, I'm a big skeptic. So, 99% of my, what I believe it is just a visual hallucination, and it's just, just something my mind can create. But there's some people who I would strongly relate it to what people describe as remote viewing. And there's like a Canadian here who's like really heavily into it, and the CIA was into it too, and they were testing it. And so, I can't say at all whether it's real or not, but I did this painting series based on this idea of creating these intentionally random imagery, but it's also based on the remote viewing experience. So it was always circular, and I created, and I'll show it again, and it's meant to play off of that, kind of like what I experience when I visualize that stuff, and also to question whether maybe it's just pareidolia. I actually called it pareidolia, which is implying it is more than anything else just pareidolia and not some psychic experience I'm having. But I'm always open to the possibility, like maybe it is truly an extrasensory perception that I've got. And it was kind of a bit of a call out to the world to like say, hey, does anyone else have this? Can anyone else do this? Can anyone else like I've never actually talked to another person who claims they have the ability to remote view. Like I think like the experiments they do require a few people, and there are some interesting experiments. Like they're actual scientific experiments, meaning that there's controls and that there's they're done with in a as scientific a way as possible. And the problem is the interpretations, right? That's where it breaks down, right? Is like, and also like it could be simply a matter of well, from what I've seen so far, there's some really, interesting things where people have drawn these locations based on distinctive geography that someone had remote viewed. Like someone else, the idea is someone goes to a location the other person has to remote view it, then draws down what the other person sees. It's more complex than that. I think they have to do with like associating some things before and after. But apparently, I'm pretty sure it was the CIA did. Now, okay, I can't verify the accuracy of this because the sources, I'm not sure. I can't remember the sources were from, but there was something like they were using it to like discover military installations in Russia during, I think it was the 60s. So, who knows? Anyhow, I just drank coffee and I'm holding a V8 the whole time. Oh, my dog is barking again. She's actually a pretty good guard dog. I'm actually kind of impressed with her. Let me just go. Stop barking. Hey, Nugget, come here. Come inside. Inside. Come here. Come here. Good girl. Good girl. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. Her hearing, it's so incredible sometimes. Her hearing, like, if I have the a window open at night, she can hear the slightest sounds outside and she'll alert me. It's pretty cool. You know, the dogs. Oh, that sort of fits sort of like what I'm talking about. You know, we're just talking about perception. And dogs hear at a frequency outside of our auditory range. Those frequencies still exist, right? So why can't... And also too, I think if you start, you know, I'm very interested in quantum mechanics. Quantum physics, I should say, not mechanics. The theory, you know, so I'm constantly trying to understand entanglement. And what I mean by understand is just sort of like the accepted theoretical notions of entanglement. Like, you know, just, you know, I've read a lot about it and I've watched videos about it and I'm always left going, okay, I thought I got it. And then now I have to check it out again. And one of my favorite books I've read about 4 times was A Brief History of Time by, what's his face? The guy who died recently in the wheelchair, Stephen Hawking, who, by the way, I don't know why people idolize him, because from the sound, if you read some of his writings, he sounds like a bit of an arrogant jerk. Like, you know, people like, yeah, he sounds like a bit of a prick. You know, anyhow, well, I'm digressing. So it kind of ties in with the art. Like, I wonder if there's something at an art, in art and creativity, that ties in with, there's a quantum explanation for creativity in that, like, maybe, like, it's possible that there's more that meets the eye that goes on. Like, when I always think about something that's guiding me, you know, often. And something I really enjoy thinking about and learning about, and I think that's some fascinating stuff, like the double slit experiment. If you don't know what it is, highly recommend, just go on YouTube and just Google double slit experiment. Don't feel like explaining it right now. I probably won't do it justice, but it is some fascinating stuff, and it makes you, you know, think, okay, maybe, you know, just there is a level of reality that just isn't what we're used to. And I think as time goes by, I think what's going to happen is there are going to be, I mean, I think the holy grail right now with computing is to have a general use quantum computer, right? If you understand how it works right now, is, you know, they're very good at solving specific algorithms, but they're not good at solving generalized algorithms. So they can't be really used, but unless it's like like I said, for very specific type of calculations. You can't just like say, okay, I want to analyze weather patterns. Like, you know, you have to, just from the sheer physics of it, from my understanding, is, you know, it's almost like an ASIC computer, one of What does ASIC stand for? You know, like a Bitcoin machine. I forget the name. ASIC. Anyway, the point is, it's a computer that's dedicated for single purpose use. Essentially, that's like a rudimentary description of an ASIC machine. ASIC computer. What was I talking about? Yeah. There's some. Okay. Oh, I really like doing this. So should I might want to go upstairs and go into some of those. I don't feel like stopping. I feel like painting like crazy. Oh my God. I just had an idea to like start another huge one. Or do I go back into some of these paintings I've already started and keep working on it? What to do? Yeah, quantum, I would say some of the most exciting things for me to think about is quantum physics, and as it relates to sort of more metaphysical understandings of the universe and nature and perception. And I think there is something related to creativity, and I'm not quite sure how to articulate it. I think there has something to do with an evolutionary way of thinking. Yeah. If you think of the nature of the universe, okay, so I think one hypothesis is pretty straightforward, that it's sort of like a standard way of thinking about things, is that we live in a multidimensional universe. Okay, it's not as we perceive it, and our consciousness. Okay, let's just say that one way of thinking about it. I think I talked about this before. I love thinking about this shit. Is the way I could perceive 5 dimensions. Is that we live in this 3-dimensional universe, which is the 4th dimension being time. That's arguably 4th dimension, but anyhow, let's go with that. So the 5th dimension would be, imagine if there's all times and all possibilities. Okay, that's the 5th dimension, is that there are an infinite number of permutations of the universe that we know of. So there's me lifting my hand up here, me lowering my hand up here, me with blue eyes and me with green eyes, not just me. I mean, like, maybe I'm holding a square paintbrush instead. So there's all infinite possibilities. And the general understanding is that your consciousness snaps in to one of those realities, and that's what we perceive as our universe, our existence. So if it's true that there are infinite possibilities, that kind of changes things a bit, doesn't it? Right? And it comes down to the variable that we know or that we think is involved, and the big discussion is free will. Because if you have free will and consciousness, we create reality literally by snapping to one universe. It's okay, you guys come in. Yeah. Help yourself. What was I saying? So right, okay. So that changes everything. Free will, determinism. It comes in, this is why it's more metaphysical than just straight philosophy, because it has to do with the nature of the universe, I assume, right? But wow, isn't it fascinating to know that you can have a particle could affect another particle? And I'm sort of going back to entanglement and sort of my rudimentary understanding of what it is that, can affect another particle, another location instantaneously. So it's not even faster than light travel. It is instantaneous. And that just, you have to start talking about wormholes. You have to start talking about like bending of time space. See, that's kind of cool. If you think about time space as like a balloon, and you were to pinch both sides, that you could instantly go to another point in the universe if the surface of the balloon was considered our universe. I mean, that's how I love the fact that you can visualize that. I wish there was a way to tie in these more intellectual thoughts with art. That's what I really hope. I really wish that what I'm doing is actually communicating, and there's maybe there's a. I just the other day I watched the Imitation Game, which is about World War II breaking the German Enigma encryption machine, and I would love it, man. That would be such a great feeling to think that there is some kind of intelligence to what's happening right here, and that it's a form of encrypted communications. I know it sounds a little silly to say that, but it's fun to think about. Like, imagine all these silly little dots and swirls and patterns are some sort of symbolic communication that someone else can interpret. That's a nice way of thinking about it. I don't really think that's the case. It's just nice interpretation. Okay, so hopefully what I'm doing here is going in that extra level. Maybe that's what I'm trying to think about. I'm trying to think, the reason why I'm doing this, for a few reasons, is I felt like the marks before were too rough and they weren't art-worthy. You know, they weren't, I don't know how to describe, there was some amateurness that needed to be busted out. I needed to go in and do something that felt more like I've masterfully, like I've conquered this from a competence level. Yes, something about competence. I think that's a big part of it. Having maybe that's part of what the art, some type of art that bothers me, is it doesn't show competence. Like, I think that's what bothers me about you know, like the art where it's just like you put where the guy is pouring paint onto a disc and spinning it around with like a wheel. The problem with that is the competence is shallow, right? For sure, there'll have to be some mastery of it, of course. But I think the level required is shallow. I think, and shallow, I meaning it's not difficult. It's not deep. It's kind of like, I guess here it is. I respect someone who climbs a higher mountain than someone who climbs a lower mountain more, because it's more difficult and challenging. Now, you can't criticize someone for climbing a smaller mountain, because maybe that's to their capabilities, or you can't criticize them because at least they tried. But I think it's more like looking at someone at the Olympics. You can't help but feel when someone pushes themselves to the limit and they're a master at what they do. It's more difficult and challenging, and I think that's part of why I have a revulsion is a too strong a word. Maybe it is sometimes. I have a strong negative feeling towards certain types of art that feels like it doesn't require much competency, and I don't even know if this requires competency. I don't know. I mean, I told you before, part of the reason why I'm doing this is that it's calming my brain down. And it means I don't have to listen to the tinnitus so much. So there's a part of a selfish reason. And I can't even say that there's anything great about this yet. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. You know, there was a Quebec artist, I think, Jean-Paul Ripoelli, I think his name is. And I never really liked it, because I always felt it was like, I didn't think it deserved the highness, the elevation that some other artwork deserved. Same with this. I don't know if this thing deserves much attention. I don't know. I'm trying to create something here. I'm trying with every brushstroke to bring something that's different, and you know, I'm trying. And I could very well be failing. But I can't stop, man. I'm like addicted to this right now. I can't stop this. Like, I'm really thinking I'm gonna go upstairs and grab one of my older paintings. We'll keep on going with one of the new ones. Okay, maybe. I'm massively good at babbling now. I'm developing a real skill for bullshittery. I think I should delete all these videos. They're ridiculous. They're silly. Maybe it was like a nice little journey that some people came with me along the lines. And then it was meant not to be, I don't know. Okay, I feel better about this now. I could probably spend hours more on this thing. Whatever this thing is. But maybe I should just move on. Okay. Okay. All right, fine. I think I'm gonna leave it now. I feel like I gave it a bit more substance. I can't describe. Let's just look at this thing. So what did I do? What the hell did I do? I just went in and like before, that was more like a chunky mess. Now it has sort of like a little bit of Van Gogh kind of movement in it, and it de-evolves into other stuff, other things. Kind of things that remind me of paintings I've done in the past. And I like those lines were quick, and I didn't even think of it, and I like the way it turned out, you know. And over here, and there's a little bit of that Iskowitz kind of simple shapes, and then there's this blob of swirly greenness, which reminds me of some of Monet's areas. And up here is a little bit of a bit more Van Gogh. See, that's what you recognize as Van Gogh, is those hard, thick, stronger strokes around these circles that I don't even know what are. Oh, okay. You know what I'm going to do? I think I know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go back to the big painting here. Oh. Yeah, I'm going to go back to this thing. I'll stop the camera because I got to. I want it to be a separate kind of video. So, okay, who's there? You V8 juice? Oh man, are you kidding me? Where's the V8's awesome. I always feel wicked after I drink one of these things. Who said that anyhow? Cindy? Wait. Oh, Cheryl. Yeah, Cheryl. Too bad. I'm gonna do a painting about V8 now just to piss you off. We'll also have a coffee too. Okay, I'm gonna stop this video and I want to get back to painting this. All right, see you.